Hey, hey. So, before we even do anything, before we even get started, I want to show you guys a video, and I hope you like it.
Peter, come take a look at this.
Mr. Daniels.
Mr. Daniels.
Look at this.
What's this? The numbers, they keep getting bigger and bigger.
The clicks are off the charts.
Yeah.
Yoshi, it's Walter. We're back.
Yes, sir. Ay, number. これだ。もっとトラッキング。More shifting, more shifting.
I need more trees. More trees? I'll get you more trees.
Hey, take a look at wood pulp.
Everything you got on wood pulp right now.
He really loves that thing.
So that was not an ad, but that was a really good video of what exactly we're going to be talking about today. I have been in marketing for before I can even remember. I built my first website when I was 12 on my old Tandy, and I ranked my first website on Yahoo when just about the year 2000. So just before Google started to get big, before Gmail and everything. So I've been doing this stuff for a while, and while the times have changed, most of this stuff, as far as tactics and whatnot, have not. Believe it or not, the same stuff still works, but what I want to talk to you guys about today is tracking and how tracking can really skew your data. And just like in the video, I am going to show you babies clicking on things, literally. So let's get into it. I am Paul Hannick. I am the digital marketing director for Intercoastal Net Designs, ICND. We specialize in vacation rentals, but we do everything from SEO, pay-per-click, email marketing, social media, conversion rate optimization, you name it, all to try to get more bookings. Now, I'm going to be talking a lot about the vacation rental industry with my terminology, so please forgive me, but you can really apply this to any site, any vertical, anything. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I want to talk about the analytics gotchas. And the analytics gotchas are basically, there I am. So the analytics gotchas are all things that you see in Google Analytics. And they are, you like my little AI guy there? I thought he came out pretty good. All things that you see in analytics that might look okay at the time, but aren't. So I'm going to start off with a softball, with an easy one. And this is just making sure that your UTMs are right. You can see here, starting at number 5, and then number 6, and then number 7, these are all custom UTM codes, and they're all tracking differently. Enough's really said with that. I don't want to go too much into it, but definitely audit this stuff. And I know measurement marketing is a really nice UTM spreadsheet that you can grab. So I would highly recommend that. Make sure you keep track of all your UTMs, because you never know what a source might bring. So aside from that, let's talk more about engagement and engagement rates and why this data may be lying to you. So as you know, with GA4, they introduced engagement rate, which is basically just the opposite of a bounce rate. And when we're looking at this data right here, this on the site, I'll move my head real quick. if we are analyzing the bounce rate and the engagement rate. This is not normal. This is not ever going to be normal, unfortunately. This is we see this quite often, actually, and it is something that happens whenever you have two of the same GA4 installations on the same site. They're both pushing, they're firing page views, and of course the engagement rate is really high because it's double tracking. Now, the users and whatnot may not be, but there could very well be a duplicate instance of GA4 installed on the site. And the telltale sign right here is the engagement rate. That's exactly the issue. So Google likes to hide where that setting is. It's actually located pretty deep in the admin. And there it is. Now, obviously, you can use tools and see what tags are firing, but even there are times that those browser add-ons, they don't find everything. So it's always best to just make sure that you are tracking everything appropriately. All right, let's get into a little bit more meat. So this one is hi again. This one is about traffic drops. You know, we investigate these things all the time, and you can see here on the screen, we've got total users, new users, returning users, everything's down. Oh man, what's going on? And these are year-over-year comparisons. It could very well be month over month. It doesn't really matter. Let's go forward. Went too far forward. There we go. Looking at engagement time and engaged sessions, those are up though, quite a bit. So what's this telling us? Now we can go forward. And it was mostly in the direct channel. Always look at your individual channels, not just your overall goals here, or overall metrics. Your individual channels might be skewing things. Now, why was this the case? Well, in this case, actually, there were spam bots hitting the site up until when it was fixed. So that was causing a super low engagement rate and, active engagements. Even this returning users, new users, it was still being it was still being tracked as a user and a person, but once that traffic dropped off, it went back to normal, and it was a pretty abrupt drop. Just some safeguards were put in place to stop that kind of stuff, which is why it stopped. This is a client we took over, found that forum, and they were very happy, very happy. Here's another one. So let's talk about traffic influxes. Okay, traffic influxes. So we're looking at where our sessions are up, our engaged sessions are up, but our conversion rate's way down. And just by the way, the average conversion rate in the vacation rental space, it's anywhere between 0.4 and 0.8%. Looking site-wide, but this one's quite odd because, like I said, sessions and whatnot are up, but the conversions and revenue way down. So what could be the case here? We're even looking. We found like a spike comparative to last year. So what's that spike about? And then it continues to be a bit lower as well. So, doing some investigating, this client was in Maui, and this happened when the Maui wildfires broke out. Right there. Just Maui as a search term from Google Trends. And by the way, Google Trends is a great place to see if there has been natural traffic influxes. Now, what happened was this client just kind of got rolled into people looking for the wildfire information. And Maui is, a big tourism big tourism area, but the wildfires really took a toll on their traffic, all sites in that area. Now, they didn't have any dedicated content about the wildfires, but people were searching for everything from cancellations to, just information about the fires. And Maui, we saw before, like Maui death toll was a high one in there. There was a lot of things going on that really affected that traffic. And looking at it year over year, it's you can see the sessions were up, but nobody was booking. And sometimes it's an environmental factor that causes your e-commerce site not to transact the way it should. And I say e-commerce site because that's what these are. These are although they're booking engines, they are e-commerce websites. All right, this one's one of my favorites. This one I call New York City. I hope you get my reference. If you don't, you're too young. Just how it is. I looked at this commercial actually came out in 1993. But this one was probably one of the funnest to figure out, and turns out it wasn't our fault. So let's begin. We're looking at our traffic, and we were looking at get my head away just real quick. Looking at where traffic was coming from, and these are actual dates, just so you know. And we saw that New York was growing like quite a bit in June. Now, the websites that we were looking at. We have clients all across the United States, but the websites that we were looking at mostly here were on the East Coast, and they all had this influx of New Yorkers coming down. Now, why? What happened? We can look a bit further and see, this is a big change, big increase from May 1st until July 29th. Why? What's going on? So, with that big traffic increase, that was supposed to be whatever. With that big traffic increase, you would think, okay, well, let's put some more money into New York. Target the ads to New York. Make sure that we are getting that audience that now has more of an interest in the East Coast. By the way, New York is a big feeder market for the East Coast beaches, Florida, and as well as Myrtle Beach and Outer Banks and all those. But that's beside the point. So we did some digging. And we noticed that there was a pretty significant trend line starting on May 25th going up for all traffic coming from New York. Well, we kept digging, and we noticed, if you see there in green, if we see that in green, that is the non-iOS users, but the iOS users were going up in that same exact trend line of all the users. Now, what does that mean? Well, we had some theories, some good theories. Come on, I had to. So Godzilla targeting iPhone users in the US. So they're all in New York. So they were all flocking to to the beach to get out. Well, okay, so that wasn't right. But here is what happened. Mac released an update. Or Apple, whatever. Apple released an update on May 16th. And if you remember that update, probably don't. It was in 2002. That was kind of the introduction of the private relay, to where if you are a iPhone or a Safari user, it was automatically putting in a private relay and basically masking your location. And analytics was not able to discern the location. And the interesting part too was if you were in the East Coast, if you were on the East Side, you were using the Eastern time zone, which was New York. As you moved across the time zones, we saw traffic from Chicago and Texas and California, like the cities that are known for the time zones. And it was just this I don't want to say phenomenon, but pretty much we lost all tracking for all iOS devices for a while until Google figured it out. It's still not completely accurate, but this was a big change. Now, of course, Google they try, they get it right 80% of the time. But the main point, though, guys, is I want to make you guys aware that this is none of these things have anything to do with your website conversions. It doesn't have to do with user experience. It doesn't have to do with anything except for factors that are not within your control, unless maybe you installed GA4 incorrectly. But kind of my point is, like, never trust the tracking is right, let alone the data, because the data has to start with who installed the tracking. And we see so many times over and over that, the previous company that we took over, or maybe the client themselves, they set up something and it just was not working right. It was not tracking right. It was, and it was causing, havoc. So, that affects the traffic that you're seeing for the month, but also the traffic year over year when you're doing comparisons. Because you don't have an apples to apples. You've got to wait 2 years to have an apples to apples. So, one of those, one of the big things that I do want to make you guys fully aware of, the data itself is only as good as the tracking that's installed. And that tracking is the code and how it interacts with the site. I'm always a skeptic, and this is the skeptic version of it. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about Google Ads. Now, I love this guy. Got him on the first try with a prompt. The wolf in sheep's clothing. I'm gonna mix up some metaphors here, but let me just kind of power through. Now, this is again a client that we took over, and what you're seeing here, let me move my head so you're not distracted by my bauble. What you're seeing here are different campaigns that are set up. Some of them, but they're for rentals and real estate. Now, rentals rentals and real estate are different as far as conversions go. You can't book you can't buy a house online through the MLS. There really should not be any conversions for real estate and that have value associated with them. You can make conversions, contact forms, all that stuff, but there really is no value associated with it unless it's set up incorrectly. But that's beside the point. But looking at this, like if you are familiar with Google Ads, you can see that this is a pretty good click-through rate for dynamic campaigns. The blurred out stuff is the company name, so I didn't want to throw them completely under the bus, although I kind of want to. But this is kind of what you're seeing. And one of the things that I do want to also instill is, if a agency gives you a report and it looks like this is bad. This is bad. Although, you know, the money that's put in is not, wasn't that great. It got a great ROI. You're going to see why it got a great ROI. All right. So this is a broken down view by campaign. Previously on this screen, we were looking at the campaigns for, looking at the major campaigns that were there. This one's breaking it out a little bit more so that we can see a little bit more data. Now, here's the thing. We are looking at, and this is the wool. These campaigns actually, let me just let you look at this for a second rather than telling you the answer. You can immediately kind of look at that first line and see that 11 conversions, small value. Real estate has conversion value. There's different campaigns set up for different things, but here's the real kicker. Here's the real kicker. Okay. What are you talking about, Paul? What are you talking about? You see it yet? Oh, by the way, this company's name is Finger Lakes Premier Properties. You see it yet? Every single conversion that was in a campaign that was targeting rental related keywords or real estate related keywords, the actual search term that people typed in, they were all branded keywords hidden in the campaign for rentals or real estate. I mean, brand. There are only a few in here that weren't actual brand keywords. Let me explain this a bit more. So here's another example, and it's broken down a lot simpler. All conversion value, looking good. Here are the keywords that this client is targeting. Okay, makes sense. Big money keywords. All right, so they're in a campaign for Isle of Palms, and they have their own ad groups, again, for vacation rentals, rental-related keywords. But these are the actual search terms on the left that people typed in, and they converted. Again, all brand. Because the Google's algorithm, you know, if you are using broad match or even exact match close variant, you see that the first exact match close variant, the keyword that was in the campaign that says, I want to bid on Isle of Palms luxury vacation rentals, that's the keyword I want to bid on. Google said, I'm going to show for exclusive properties Isle of Palms, which is the brand. Let's go back. Of course, this looks good because every single keyword that made a conversion was a brand keyword. Bidding on the brand. Not cool. Now, if you have your own branded campaign, yes, cool. But to hide branded keywords and not get them out, not cool. You have to separate your campaigns. Otherwise, you're just pulling wool over the sheep's eyes, or pulling wool over the eyes. Meh. So the overall point here is, why pay for a cow when the milk is free, right? AI is getting so good, isn't it? You definitely should have brand campaigns if you have any sort of brand competition. No doubt about it. But you should also negative out any brand keyword that's running in your other campaigns. Now you may say, well, Paul, what's the difference? I'm getting bookings. I'm getting the transactions. Yes, you're getting transactions from people that already know who you are because they typed your name into Google, right? It's not what we want. We want new audience. We want a fresh audience. We want new people to come to the site. Obviously, you want to do remarketing and all stuff like that, but you want those new people to come to the website, right? So that they can make a transaction, so you can grow your customer list. You can't do that when you're bidding all on brand and not spending more money for other money keywords, I guess you could say. Now, let's move on. I mentioned remarketing. Let's talk about remarketing. When's the last time this happened? Like literally, when's the last time we saw a baby pick up the tablet and book a vacation for their parents? No? Hasn't ever happened? No. Has not. But again, if you're not policing your pay-per-click campaigns, you're going to get clicks on things like Hello Kitty, Kids Hospital, Pink Fong Baby Shark, $1.62, 6 clicks. Baby Balloon Pop, 7 clicks. Educational Balloons and Bubbles. Sesame Street, 21 clicks. It keeps going, and keeps going, and keeps going. And these all add up. Yeah, sure. The numbers on from the time it took me to screenshot all of these and put them on there. Yeah, not very much. But you leave this running for a year. Anytime you run remarketing campaigns, Google is going to place them everywhere it wants. It's going to try to focus on conversions if that's the conversion goal that you have set up. But it's going to show these ads everywhere on places that you don't want. And a lot of wasted money goes into these. So, there's agencies that will show you, yeah, you've got to, I'm going to say right now, if your agency is pitching you on impressions and showing you how great their impressions are, you need to get rid of that agency. If you are wanting transactions or contact forms filled out or anything like that, impressions are pointless. I mean, think about it. Anybody that's has an app open that is looking for a vacation or looking for any product, when they're playing Words with Friends, is that still around? I'm dating myself. Are they actually looking to purchase your product right then? I mean, all this baby has just done a whole bunch of accidental clicks. Again, just like in the video that I showed at the beginning. It happens. And we've seen it happen a lot. We've actually seen hundreds of dollars wasted on sing-alongs and, and all of this stuff. It's not, Google does not police it the way that you need to police it. And it's a lot of wasted money, unfortunately. You'll see that in the analytics. So I guess my point here on this one is reports can easily look great at a high level. But until you really dive in and ask the right questions, that's where the truth's going to come from. And we got to uncover that truth, right? Got to uncover that truth. All right. So moving on. Not all traffic is created equal. That's another one that I want to talk about. This, okay, that's weird. Yeah, same deal. Let's try this again. Not all traffic is created equal. And what I mean by that is, we see a lot of misconception out there about content is king. There's a lot of different reasons for content, and the long and the short of it is you need to have a goal for that content and understand that the content may or may not be a conversion metric. It may not do anything at all as far as conversions go, which is completely fine if that's the case. However, if you're blogging because it's the thing to do, then that's a problem. If you're building pages because you want to have the biggest, best website with all the resources, but you're selling a product, that may not be the thing to do. Okay, real world example. Looking at these stats right here, nothing too crazy. Got a good engagement rate, good sessions, good active users. Nothing sticks out as too crazy. A high level. Remember? Yeah, see what I did there? High level. Let's break it down into pages. These are landing pages. I'll let you mull it over. Oh, my head's in the way. There we go. I'll let you look at it real quick. All right. If you notice, there are informational pages and there are transactional pages. Now, again, this is a vacation rental client. Everything with /rentals is a property or a search results for a property or for a set of properties based on criteria that were put in. Look at the engagement time. Look at the key event rate. Look at the views per session. Look at everything that equates to revenue. And again, these are landing pages. So these pages are getting a lot of traffic, and there's a lot of them. But they are not converting to bookings in this session. If you look at it per user, it's the same deal. And even if you do any other kind of flow chart, you could do funnel paths, you could do a lot of different things in analytics, but the truth is you've got to know your audience. And when you're writing about these things that will help a person while they're on vacation, they are looking for this information as a one-off, real quick, get out, and be done with it. You can see that, and by the way, the personal peeve, I do not like Google's metric for engagement rate. It's like if they've been on the site for 10 seconds, they're engaged. There are 3 different criteria, and it's an either or, but the one that really grinds my gears is the 10-second one. Anyway, but looking at this though, so check this out. I mean, we've got a whole bunch of landing pages. We've got good information on these things. It ranks. They get a lot of traffic, but they're not equating to conversions. So, we get the question a lot, well, what should my conversion rate be? And I said before, the average conversion rate is between 0.4 and 0.8%. Well, this one is 0.75. Great. But we're looking at two different audiences when we're measuring our conversion rate. We're looking at for the informational audience in this screenshot. We're looking at an informational audience, but we're also looking at a transactional audience, and those should not be together when you're really looking at your conversion rate. Because think about this: what if you had a really good blog post that went viral? Do blogs go viral these days? Oof. Videos go viral. Might have a link to your site. Whatever. Something goes viral and it jacks up your numbers, which is great. You're getting more numbers. But if that viral piece of content is not a transactional style landing page or a transactional style landing page, there's no, it's going to skew your overall conversion rate. It's going to skew your overall engagement rate. It's going to skew your everything rate. Let's just look at these two. The top one is everybody that is on the previous screen, what you saw on the previous screen. The bottom one is only focusing on people who have been in the funnel. And that means that people who have looked at any transactional page, any of the transactional pages. So basically, I'm filtering out on the bottom, I'm filtering out everybody that did not look at a transactional page. What a difference in key event rate, conversion rate. Sessions are down, but not that much. I mean, less than half, but the revenue and the key events are exactly the same, showing that there are, all that extra content is, while it may be good for SEO, it might be good for the user, it might be good for Google Love to satisfy the EAT philosophy. It might be good for a lot of different things, but it might also be skewing your conversion rate. And if you are looking deep in your funnels and you're seeing, why did my conversion rate drop? If you're not looking at the right audience, then you're really never going to find that answer because your data's skewed. Hope that makes sense. I'm going to leave you with a couple of things, kind of wrapping up here at the moment. But one of the things I want to leave you with is one of my all-time favorite quotes that I learned from one of my great friends. But 67% of statistics are made up on the spot. It's a joke. I hope you get it. It's not an actual number. Feel free to use this one. You can throw whatever number you want in there. And that just kind of makes, that's kind of my point here, right? Is, with all these statistics or all these numbers, we can replace statistics on the screen right now with data, with analytics, with your numbers. And the worst part is again, we got to go back to what I was saying before is, always question the data, always question who installed it. Installers can get it wrong. It's one of those technical aspects that you got to know how the system works. And I've seen so many times where, people are trusting the data. Even some of my own team members, they're trusting the data and they're distributing it and they're talking about it. But sometimes they miss some of the key aspects of it that it only comes from years worth of looking at the same kinds of data over and over and over. But I always question it as far as how it's collected. No system's going to be perfect, but Mercer had a really good quote. You don't need to know where every single fish is when you go fishing. You just need to know where most of them are. That is something that everybody should live by. What I showed you before, the Google Analytics New York City traffic, it still showed plenty of traffic that people didn't have their private relays on, and Android users and Windows users. And, you know, it gave a big enough sample size to make a decision. And that's what analytics is for. Analytics is for making educated decisions. It is not something to do your books by. It is not going to be that accurate. Now, no matter what system you use, you know, I still don't believe it's going to be 100% accurate. Even if you're using 360 or the Adobe suite. Don't believe it. Always dive deeper into every single report. And, you know, get rid of that wool in front of your eyes. There's always a reason. Ask yourself why. Ask your agency why. Keep digging in. We need to know why. And then finally, you know, sometimes seasonal issues. Sometimes there's just something awry, and your bad conversion rate is out of your hands. You know, always try to, the main thing that I guess is another good takeaway is always try to be better than yourself. You know, we hear a lot because we service a lot of the same types of clients. What should my conversion rate be? And as I showed you before, you know, do you have a lot of blogs? Okay, your conversion rate's a lot less than your competitor. Do they rank really high? Even better. All right, bad conversion rate. Do you have real estate properties on your website? So people are coming to your website to look at real estate as well as vacation rentals? Yeah. Oh, bad conversion rate goes down. And I'm saying bad here because that's what people are associating with that conversion rate. And it's really not. It's not a bad thing. It's just a matter of perspective and understanding your data enough to make that decision on it. And understanding that it's skewed because of external factors. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Hope this was entertaining, if not at least a little bit informing. Stop by the virtual booth. I've got the QR code for LinkedIn. And as always, keep measuring, guys. Again, please take your data with a grain of salt because it's not going to be accurate 100%. All right, I'm going to leave you to it. Feel free to ask any questions. Here I am.